Hello Key Stage 1 and welcome to day 4 of your week 10 writing lessons, and we are carrying on with our diary entries today. So let's take a look at our learning objective for today's lesson. So the learning objective is to edit and improve my writing, and hopefully you'll be able to achieve that by looking at our success criteria and ticking these off. So we have got here, I can reread my own writing. You will all be able to do that one, I hope. And then hopefully by the end you'll also be able to say, I can also correct punctuation errors. And finally, I can even up-level my word choices. So trying to find better words that are more descriptive or exciting to replace the ones that you've already put in your draft diary entry. Just a bit of retrieval practice before we get started with the main part of today's lesson. We're going to be focusing on vocabulary. Having a look at the 6 words below that are highlighted in blue pen, I'd like you to have a discussion with somebody in your household or somebody at school. Do you remember what these words mean? And can you put them into a sentence? So you can have a discussion with your adult now about those words and what they mean. Okay, hopefully you managed to remember most, if not all, of those words and what they meant. But if you weren't quite sure still, I've got a list of those words that we just looked at, the key words from our story, The Night Pirates, and their definitions here. So if we look at the word stealthy, it means something done in a sly or secret manner. Well done if you got that one right. Next word is rough, which means coarse or rugged in character or appearance. Then we've got the word roared, which means to utter a loud, deep cry or howl, as in excitement, distress or anger. Then we have the word bandit, which means a robber, thief or outlaw, often belonging to a gang. Then we have disguise, which means to change or hide the features of someone or something to hide recognition. And finally, the word gaped, which means to stare with the mouth open in surprise or wonder. Well done if you managed to get any of those words correct and their meanings. That brings us to our first activity for today, activity 1. We are going to be editing and improving the first paragraph of Captain Patch's diary entry. So this first paragraph is from Captain Patch's first draft of his diary entry. So he hasn't yet read it through and checked whether it makes sense, whether he's got full stops, capital letters, finger spaces, has joined up his writing, has been able to reread it to make sure it makes sense, and to check if he can change any of his word choices and make them better. So if you take a pause in the video in a minute, you will find activity 1 on the website. You can pause the video, complete the worksheet separately, or you can go through it with me on the video. Before I go through the answers for the edits and improvements on Captain Patch's first paragraph, I'm going to read it to you. Dear Diary, you won't believe what happened last night. I was fast asleep in my hammock when suddenly I was awoken by a very bizarre sort of ship approaching the island. I shouted loudly at my lazy shipmates and woke them up too. They were just as confused as I was, mainly because this odd ship looked more like a house. Okay, I can see lots of different errors in that first paragraph there. So let's start with the first sentence up here. You won't believe what happened last night. I can see several errors there, so I'm going to take my red pen. You won't. Now, won't is a contraction for you will not, so it needs an apostrophe between the N and the T. Well done if you got that answer. You won't believe what What is a red word, but we do not spell it W-O-T, it's W-H-A-T. What happened? Happened. Happened. That doesn't sound quite right. It should be happened with an ED on the end. So I'm going to change that one as well with my red pen. Again, well done if you noticed that was incorrect. Next sentence. I was fast asleep my hammock when suddenly I was awoken by a very bizarre sort of ship approaching the island. Lots of errors in this one too. I'm looking at my word asleep. I was fast asleep. It's not the right E sound. How else could I use my E sound? I could do just one E if I use my sound mat to help me. I could use one E, or I could also use double E. So it should be asleep with the double E sound. I was fast asleep my hammock. That doesn't quite make sense either. I need to add in the word fast asleep on my hammock. When suddenly I was awoken by a very bizarre sort of ship. I'm missing a sound off the end. It should be a T sound at the end of sort. Sort of ship approaching the island. Okay, I'm happy with that sentence now. I've edited it. Well done if you got those corrections too. I shouted loudly at my lazy shipmates and woke them up too. I, because it's the beginning of our sentence, should be a capital letter. Shouted loudly at my lazy shipmates and woke them up too. Two is the right word, but it should be two with a double O. Oops. Your handwriting will be much better, I'm sure. They were just as confused as I was. Should be confused, so the sound should be an O sound, the letter O. Mainly because this odd ship looked more like a house. Now this E sound on the end, mainly, how else can we spell that E sound? Could also be with an E and an A, or just an E, or a Y. It should be a Y on the end for this one, instead of the double E. Mainly because this odd ship is missing an I sound. So I need to add that in the middle. Looked more like a house. Okay, and I am happy with the way I've edited that. I'm just looking to see if I could make any of my descriptive words a bit better. So thinking about synonyms, whether I can improve my word choices. I'm going to change the word suddenly. So I'm going to cross it out. I was fast asleep on my hammock when surprisingly. Because it would be a bit of a surprise if you were awoken by a strange looking ship. So I've changed my word suddenly for surprisingly. Okay, I think I'm happy with how I've edited the first paragraph now. Well done if you got all the same corrections. If there are any words in there you want to change and you think you can think of a better word, please do that as well. And when you're ready, we'll move on to activity 2. That brings us to activity 2 for today's lesson, for which I would like you to edit and improve your first draft of your diary entry using the checklist shown below. You will have all written your first draft for your diary entry on days 1, 2 and 3. So you may choose from either mild, medium or hot for which checklist you'd like to follow whilst you improve and edit your work. I have given some suggestions, and they are just suggestions. If you're in year 1, probably best that you complete this checklist here. If you're in year 1 or 2, you can complete this checklist in the middle, the medium one. So if you're in year 1 and you want more of a challenge, go for this one. And if you're in year 2 and you're not too sure with editing and improving, I'd start with the medium one. If you are in year 2 and you feel quite confident with your editing improvements, I would choose the hot task. As I say, these are just suggestions, so feel free to choose whichever checklist you would like to complete. Good luck with your editing and improving, and I look forward to reading your finished diary entries. And finally, that brings us to the plenary for today's lesson. Once you've completed all your edits and improvements and you're happy with your work, read your diary entry to somebody else in your house or at school, and making sure, as usual, that you are speaking loudly and clearly. Last but not least, that brings us to today's reflection. Let's have a look and see whether you have met today's learning objective. So our learning objective was to edit and improve my writing. Have a look at our success criteria. Give yourself a big tick if you can now say, I can reread my own writing. Give yourself a big tick if you can also say, I can also correct punctuation errors. And another big tick if you can say, I can even up-level my word choices. Well done if you managed all 3 of our success criteria, and well done for all your hard work so far. I'm just going to run through what you need to do for tomorrow's lesson. Okay, for tomorrow's activity for day 5, which will be Friday, I would like you to publish your diary entry using one of the templates shown below. So you can either choose one without any lines, which you'll have to be really careful with your handwriting, one with slightly wider shaped lines, or you can use the ones with narrow lines. It is up to you, you may choose, but you need to make sure you are following your edited and improved piece of work that you have done today. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing you soon.